Good afternoon and welcome to my channel, Watercolor Painting in the Afternoon. I'm Beth. Today I wanted to show you some of the bullet journal covers that I've done. This is June, this is this month. And I realize that it's too late for you to follow along with me if you wanted to, and I apologize for that. But I've been, throughout my journal, I've been doing a mid-century modern theme and using mid-century modern illustrations to picture themes for that month. So in June, I just thought I would do a cooking theme, a kitchen theme. And here we have a lot of implements from the kitchen, from a mid-century modern kitchen. For example, you know, the old KitchenAid mixer and the bag of coffee beans and the spoons and the pepper grinders, things like that, that have a specific mid-century modern vibe. And because it's a cooking theme, I thought I would think about the various things that I used to cook and that my mother used to cook. When I was a kid, I learned how to make lemon cream pie because I adored it. And so I learned how to do it. And this is my scratchy little recipe written in my child's hand. And I thought I would preserve that recipe here in my book, in my journal. So that's what I did. And all of these are very easy. It's easy to find these illustrations online and just copy them. You know, you can put your own spin on it if you want to, but they're fairly easy to find. So after that, I thought about my mother's meals and I wrote some of them down. And then I have my daily spreads, which is just naming the days of the week and giving them, giving the dates on them. I also have July, which is one of my favorites. I really like this spread. I like the sort of jungle theme, I think, and the pink flamingo theme. If you know mid-century modern, you know that it really flourished in Florida because that's where the space program was. And so a lot of mid-century modern themes are tropical like this. So I did a pink flamingo and lots of different tropical looking plants around the flamingo. And then I just took the time to maybe put a little illustration on each week. And, you know, I like to get ahead. So this is July. I mean, and nobody's done July yet, and that's fine. You don't have to do July. You don't have to be like me and do this ahead of time, but I do like to do that. Now, August is not my favorite journal illustration. Mid-century modern had a lot of graphic and geometric types of designs, and I was trying to tap into that here. This was not my favorite. This is a design I got, you know, just looking online, trying to mess with it, play with the lines and the mark making. Like I said, it's not my favorite spread, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be. Today, what I wanted to do is show you my September spread, because this is this one I really like, and I enjoy doing it, and I thought I'd show you how I did it. I started out with this spread, and this, I mean, I just lifted that right off of the internet and tried copying it, because this is my journal. It's personal, it's private, not making any money off of it anywhere. So, you know, copying things off the internet is not something that I think is a bad thing for me to do. But I didn't like this particular spread. I mean, it's not that it's awful or anything, I just didn't love it. I did it with colored pencils instead of markers or paint, and I don't know, it just didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. So I changed my mind, and I went on and I did this spread, and I really, really like this spread. And today I thought I'd show you how I did these very simple sort of atomic burst flowers that represent some of the colors that I think of in September. And we have a little bee up here. And of course, I always put a small calendar and then the name of the month. Now these are craft acrylics. They're a lot like soft body acrylics, I think. I'm very curious about trying soft body acrylics. I've heard people compare them. But anyway, they're liquid. They're not that really heavy, thick acrylic paint that you get in the tube. And so as such, you can, paint very smooth areas with them. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted these specific colors, these two greens and a nice bright orange. So all I really did was draw out my flower, and I'm going to show you how I did that. So it's just let's see, let me get up here where you can see it really well. Okay, it's just a blob, but kind of a shapely blob, I guess, if you want to call it that. And then I put a little bit of a white border on it to represent, I don't know, a highlight on the flower, right? And then in the midst of that flower is an atomic burst. And the atomic burst is representing the little stamen and anthers, I think is what it's called. So there's a little dot in the middle, and that's like the center of this flower. And then from that dot, I'm going to put a line going up this way. Now this is where we have to get kind of precise, because the thing about mid-century modern art and some of its elements is that it represents both the preciseness of science and this unknown world of space that we were so excited about pursuing. So there's a sense of wonkiness to it, of sort of an offset image, and it's not perfect, and yet it's very precise, sort of like science, right? Science doesn't give us all the answers, but it certainly is interesting, and it certainly is precise. So let's just draw some precisely imprecise lines. And we'll keep going. I like to come from the center of the circle because, again, we're talking precision, but the lines are not the same length. This line on this side of the circle will be long and this side short. So there's precision, but there's also a lot of room for creativity. So I'm going to keep doing this, going all the way around. And I'm staying inside the flower. I think it would be interesting to go outside the flower with some of the lines, but yeah, for now I'm just going to stay inside the flower. That's kind of how the illustration looked that I found that I liked. All right, and then like so many of the atomic starbursts, you have a little dot at the end, and I'm not going to put one on all of them because you know, that would be it's going to get covered up anyway. So that's kind of how you draw it. Now I drew the whole thing for you at one time. You don't draw the whole thing at one time when you are about to paint it, because you're going to paint right over those lines, but that's okay. Let's get there. I'll show you what I'm doing, and then we'll redraw our starburst. All right, we'll try to carry on here. I've got my cat rubbing against me, and I have a feeling what he wants is more food. He may interrupt me, I don't know. All right, so this color, isn't that a pretty color? I really like that. So I'm going to use this color. Got my little inexpensive Walmart paintbrush. And I'm going to fill in the part that's going to be green, which is the majority of the flower. And you can use acrylic on this craft paper. This is from Archer and Olive, this craft paper, and it can certainly have acrylic put on it. Not so much watercolor, because watercolor just warps it and the watercolor disappears right off the page. And, you know, I think you could probably do any type of acrylic on here. You could use acrylic pens. You can use the Tombow watercolor ink pens, or any watercolor or brush pens or anything else like that. And they do work, but they also, the tan kind of shows through and affects the color. It muddies the color a little bit, and that's fine. The Tombow pens especially are very good with coverage, and so you can use them, and you know, you're pretty much going to get the effect that you were hoping to get. Some of the watercolor pens don't do that, but most of them do. I've also got Artist Loft from Michaels, and they work very well with this paper too. I'm just saying that if you don't want any compromise on your color, you need to use white, and most people do use a white bullet journal. I just wanted to try this tan one to see how it worked. So, acrylic paints, or maybe you could use gouache. I don't know. I haven't tried that. You can use the watercolor pens or acrylic paint pens. And I may show you some of that too. I don't know. We'll see if I have time. I'm trying to make this video relatively short so that you can see what I'm doing without me doing the whole spread for you. Okay, so there's the green part, and we're just going to let that dry a little bit, and then we can come back and we can put in our white, and we can put in our lines. Actually, I can probably go ahead and put in the white. I used a white Posca pen, so if I'm kind of careful, I can probably do that. But here's my my white Posca pen. And it's leaking a little bit, so I'm hoping this will work out well. This is just a highlight on the little flower that we've got here. I'm assuming it's the highlight of a petal. A part of mid-century modern is just indicating that something's there without, you know, drawing all the specifics of it. It's a very creative way to illustrate something. I've always loved mid-century modern furnishings, architecture. I just think it's so simple and clean, and yet there's a science behind it. You know, it's not just random. It's very interesting stuff, and that's just me. I've always been kind of a cross between a scientist and an artist, I guess. I like science. I love the precision of it. And I like art, the imprecision of it. And mid-century modern design really combines those things in some very interesting and lovely ways. So I'm going to let this dry, and I'll probably come back with a second coat. I doubt I'll show you me doing that, but I'll come back with a second coat of this white just to make sure that it's extra opaque. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. All right, I'm back, and we're all dry here, and both of the layers have been dried, and I'm just going to show you my process about making the lines for the little atomic burst in the center. So the center of the flower might be right here, and by the way, I'm using a let's see, monotwin from Tombow, and using the thick part of the nib to make my inner circle. Then I'm going to switch to the finer nib to make my lines. So the lines need to go straight through the center of this circle, and I'm kind of sort of following the shadowy existence of what I did before. Put a little dot on the end of each. I can kind of see my pathways through the pencil there. Okay, then the next mark might be about right here. And remember to make them different lengths. Don't make them uniform. That kind of defeats the purpose. So this one's long, but this one's short. And yeah, I made a double line there and did not mean to do that. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Move that out of the way. Make sure I'm still in the middle of the camera. There. All right. A little bit more. And you move your page around or your book, whatever you're working in, so that making straight lines is easy for you. Now you can, of course, you can use a ruler if that's what you want to do. I just am not at this particular moment using a ruler. So there we go. Now I've got all my lines. Like I said, it's precision, but it's also whimsy, and it's really so cool. I love mid-century modern stuff. The furniture, the architecture, everything, the colors, just everything. All right, now I am going to use a straight line for the stem. The stem should also come from the middle of the circle down. And because this is dot grid, I can really see and keep my line very straight because I can follow the dots. So let's give this a stem. Just like that. And then you can maybe, if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, you could put a couple of little leaves on it. The leaves should be out of proportion to the flower because, again, I'm telling you, it really works to have the details be very precise and yet something a little bit off about them, a little bit either oversized or undersized or something like that, so that you get the sense of the precision of science and yet the mystery of it as well. So that's one of the reasons why I just love mid-century modern. There's my design, and you can do some in orange, or if you have pink and blue, do it in pink and blue. I mean, it doesn't make any difference which colors you choose. I think that you're going to get a great result if you just follow that rule of both accuracy and whimsy. So there's my September spread, and that's how I did it. And I hope that if you have enjoyed this video, please remember the algorithm wants to find me, but only, only if you like my video and click that like button. Otherwise, I am going to stay in YouTube purgatory forever. But thank you for watching today. I hope you have a great day and happy painting.